Hi, my name is Leidiane Lozada, and I'm doing the interview with Andrea.
Hello.
Andrea's from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been living here in the US for how long, you said?
I've been here for about 7 years.
And what's the difference that you see between living here and Canada?
I would say there's a few differences. So just in terms of culture, you know that Canada is a Commonwealth country, and actually there's still a lot of immigrants from the British, Irish, Wales, and those types of things. In fact, my father is actually British and my mother is Canadian. So I think culturally we might be more similar to the British than you are here in terms of maybe some customs and some of our food. We probably drink a lot more tea than you drink here and those types of things. And of course we still have the Queen as the figurehead. She doesn't hold a specific position of power in the government, but she still is a figurehead in the country.
And how does Canadians view America?
I think we view ourselves as quite similar. I think probably the biggest difference that I've seen is just in terms of political leanings. I would say in Canada overall, we might lean a little more towards the left. So you know that we have more universal health care. We're a little bit more liberal in terms of you know, drug laws, and a little bit more strict on things like gun control.
Since you mentioned healthcare, you have like, how do you compare both systems? You go back home when you want to do something, you stay here?
No, I stay here because, you know, because I'm employed and I work on a visa, I do have American health care. But the difference is that in Canada, if you don't have a job, you still are able to access health care. It's not dependent on whether you have a private insurance. As long as you're a citizen, you know, you're entitled to some sort of health care, where be it hospital treatment, seeing a doctor. I would say that the difference is if you want to see a doctor in the Canadian system, you often have to wait longer because everybody has access. So it's sort of a trade-off in terms of private insurance versus this system.
What factors might entice companies to go do business in Canada, or that might not entice them?
Great, yeah, that's a great question. I think in terms of enticing businesses, Canada has a very educated workforce. I would say similar to the US. We have a lot of good universities, so we have a lot of people with different training in science and technology and those sorts of things. I think that would probably be positive. Some negatives, one negative could be the taxes, so we're higher taxed, and you know, we have the value added tax like they have in Europe, so anything that you buy is, you know, you pay 15% on, so that might be a negative in terms of people wanting to relocate there, and also corporate taxes are higher.
Okay, so you're saying basically that the culture, just change a little bit, the culture on Canada, it's way more like Europe than here.
That would be my observation, just because we do have that Commonwealth tie. I mean, we actually have immigrants from everywhere, but I would say that we are a little bit more similar to England.
And as an immigrant, is there any funny stories, anything that you noticed that happened was different from being in Canada here?
I have two things that I noticed. So I was attending a business meeting where people from all my company were coming, and one of the things that I didn't mention about Canadian culture is we tend to be sort of humble. So this, you know, promoting yourself is not always seen as a positive as it is here. So everybody had to write a paragraph describing themselves, and it was sort of funny because the Canadians had, you know, 1 or 2 lines, and you know, the Americans had very long descriptions, and the Europeans had somewhere in the middle. So I think, you know, that's part of the culture. I also noticed this in Australia, that, you know, promoting yourself is not really seen as, it's sort of seen as bragging. I mean, you could be very accomplished, but you don't have to tell people about it. So that was one difference I saw actually in the business culture. And a second one, when I was working in Boston, and we were all coming out of this meeting, there were about 50 people in the meeting, and of course I came to the door and I was like letting a lot of people out in front of me, and people just kept going in front of me, and then my manager was behind me and he said, "Oh, it must be a Canadian there at the door letting everybody out." So we're known, you know, we're known to be more polite, we're known to, you know, apologize a lot. It's sort of like a cultural stereotype, but I guess it tends to be a little bit true.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.